Drive to Survive Season 5, Episode 9, Over the Limit. Just when I thought Netflix were running out of ideas in making up stories, as I said previously in Episode 8, guess what? Red Bull gave them more than a story. What an episode this was, a roller coaster of emotions. Let's get into it. It kicks things off, Red Bull on a high. Now imagine this, right? So it starts off on a high, this episode, Red Bull doing well, Max Verstappen cruising and crushing it, even becoming world champion. However, we get this turn all of a sudden. Cost cap breaches. That's absolutely correct. Red Bull have been penalized for breaching the cost cap, and the drama is unfolding. Everybody's after them. Mattia Binotto is after them. Toto Wolff is after them. It's drama upon drama upon drama. The cost cap simply means everybody can only spend the same amount of money per season. So whether it's like 300 million or whatever the case may be, you're not allowed to spend over. And that goes for all teams to try and bring some competition in together in Formula One, and so that other teams cannot just buy their way out of problems. It's hilarious how one moment in the series, Christian Horner is sitting high. You know, his team's doing great. He's having to debate about what driver he's going to have in Sergio Perez's seat. He's looking at Max Verstappen killing the season, even though they were off to a tough start. But now he's on the fence. Now he's having to be on the defensive here and having to fend sort of back up against the haters and make sure that his team stays clean. Strong words from Christian Horner as well. I mean, listen, this guy's box office. Let's just call it what it is. He says the quickest way to be hated in Formula One is to be winning. He says people are hiding behind their poor performances to come and throw shade at us. I mean, this guy with the shots of the season, honestly, he is box office stuff. I understand why Netflix use this man constantly in their episodes. But both sides are true, right? If you're breaching the cost cap, if you're breaching the rules, if you're breaking the rules, you have to be dealt with, okay? But on the other hand, I totally hear what Christian Horner is saying. Listen, guys, go sort out your mess. Don't come to us, okay? Because you're performing awful. But if they've breached the budget cost cap, are they cheating? And to think this is for the Formula One 2021 season, if that wasn't controversial enough by the way it ended, you're now telling me Red Bull overspent what they were supposed to spend in that season as well. And fair play to Christian Horner. He fronts up to Mattia Binotto and says, look, I can't believe you did that. Why would you be talking in the media about the team and not talk to me face to face like a man? And Mattia's a bit like, I didn't say anything. I never said anything. I didn't mention any teams. Easy footage for Netflix there, isn't it? And to top it off as well, this was in the Singapore Grand Prix weekend. It was nothing from Max Verstappen could do. He was nowhere to be found in that Grand Prix, nowhere near the front of the grid, that's for damn sure. And he went in there and he was absolutely furious with the team, furious with the whole weekend, and was just glad it was over. But then we get to the Japanese Grand Prix where Max Verstappen becomes your two-time world champion. There was no build-up about it as well, because remember, that weekend, I remember it live in the flesh, that weekend was an absolute cluster, but they never seemed to bring any of that information up. Max Verstappen was your world champion. Even though he was world champion, guess what? Nobody was congratulating him. Why? Because of everything that was taking place with the budget cost caps. The breach has amounted to be about $400,000, but not based on performance, says Christian Horner. He says it's based on benign things and catering and so on and so forth, which is interesting because even the way he had to sort of say, it turns out we have been breaching the cost cap, is a miscommunication, misinformation, mistakes were made. But if we're talking about expending the catering, for example, then what the hell are we doing here? And then Zach Brown gets involved, writing this open letter to the FIA saying, listen, man, you guys put these breach rules in place, the budget cost cap in place. We cannot let somebody just make a mockery of it. I mean, this guy was, it was like school kids kind of like telling the teacher, like, look what they've done. Look what they've done. It was absolutely strange, very, very weird. But Zach Brown was just sort of putting pressure on the FIA to say, listen, remember what Red Bull have done here. Do not let them go off lightly. And the rest of the paddock agrees. There's different montages of Jos Capito and other team principals as well saying, like, look, rules are rules. If you break them, you should be punished. I mean, everybody was against Red Bull in this one. And I shouldn't expect anyone to be for them, obviously. Why not? Why would they be? But is it all because Red Bull are winning? Because didn't I see Williams also get in this mix a little bit as well? So it's actually kind of strange from Jos Capito to be talking about Williams when they kind of had a little thing similar. And I think maybe even Aston Martin might have dabbled in this. I have to wait and see. Anyway, it seems to be irrelevant because they're not at the front of the grid. And then the team principal press conference, very, very cagey, very, very easy for Netflix to document and have as a piece of footage to use in these episodes. But basically, Christian Horner come out and saying, listen, I'm disappointed with the letter. I'm disappointed with the teams that have come out and gone up against us. The fact that they would accuse us of cheating is just absolutely ridiculous. He actually felt like hurt by it. But Horner, man, listen, it is what it is. Red Bull become the biggest villain on the grid. Netflix are portraying it. The season, it was basically portraying it. Every team principal, every team was throwing daggers at Red Bull. Easy target for them. So they get fined of about $7 million, which is a lot of money, of course. Some people think it's not harsh. Horner thought it's ridiculous. $7 million for something like it was 400,000. And he was saying that, it was 0.6% that they went over on the budget cost cap. Hey, it is what it is. But the emotions do not end there, because sadly, of course, the owner of Red Bull, the man who created basically everything to do with Red Bull, from its businesses to its motorsport, unfortunately passed away. Dietrich Mateschitz, who sadly passed away. It was a very sad day, a very tough weekend for Red Bull with everything going on. You have world champion, you have budget cost cap. Everyone's against them. Your owner then passes away, a good friend of the team, of course. He bought 2 Formula One teams, for crying out loud. That's how much he loved the sport. So what a barrel of emotions that Red Bull are going through. Listen, as much as you can think that they cheated and everything else, they are human beings nonetheless, and they do go through real emotions. So you had to kind of feel for Red Bull in that moment there, especially with the passing of their owner. And then Horner says things like, if there is a God, they would actually win this race in the USA and become constructors champion. And it's hilarious because he said in 2021 we would need a miracle for Max Verstappen to win the Formula One World Championship. And literally, I don't even know what to call it. The way that the Formula One Championship ended in 2021, it was purely a miracle that they ended up winning it, because they had no right winning that race nor winning that title that season. But Constructors champions Red Bull win the Constructors Championship for the first time since 2013. They do the double, drivers and constructors, in 2022. What a barrel of emotions. And you could see that they obviously dedicated the entire race to Dietrich, and you could see Horner in tears after the race because of all the barrel of emotions. He even said to Helmut Marko, you're the one that's going to be going to receive that award up on the podium. Of course, they had a good and close connection there. One of their best friends obviously has passed away. And yeah, it was quite strange with everything going on that weekend. You did feel for Red Bull. They got the race win, something to sort of doff the cap to their owner. And yeah, it was just a crazy amount of emotions that was taking place in that weekend. It ends on an emotional high. Double winners for the first time in 8 years. Christian Horner in tears. Let's get into the last episode. Episode 10 of Drive to Survive, Season 5.